And he's like, what? A construction company? You guys have book club? I never would have thought that would have been such a...
It's one of those things that's hard to quantify.
I like to go over the top on some of my logos. And
you're listening to the Roofing Success Podcast, a show created to inspire roofing contractors to achieve optimal success in their roofing businesses. I'm the host, Jim Aline, the co-author of the books Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors and The Best Known Roofer. I'm also the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, the leading digital marketing agency for the roofing industry. On each episode, I sit down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in roofing. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Hit those buttons, subscribe, like, follow, all that type of stuff. Leave us a review, especially if you're on iTunes. Really helps the algorithm, helps us rank higher in the charts so that we can reach more and more listeners. Today, we're back again with my man Jeff Sawyer from TruNorth. Is it TruNorth Construction now? TruNorth Roofing? TruNorth Remodeling? Yeah. What is it now, Jeff?
We kept it TruNorth Construction, but we do offer, we started out as a remodeler and worked into the roofing business, and then we're also a developer as well. So we've got a three-pronged approach to what we're doing for our company. So
yeah, we've had a lot of good conversations on the podcast, two other conversations, around kind of marketing your business and video and all kinds of cool stuff that you guys are doing. But we wanted to chat this time. We were talking and it was like, man, this would be a good one. Is, you guys started off in the remodeling space and kind of grew towards an added roofing as a service. So what's kind of the, how did TruNorth get started? What were you guys thinking when you started it as what you saw the company as, and then what's it grown to now?
Yeah, it's funny. It's evolved quite a bit. We started out with just me and my business partner. We were going to focus strictly on remodeling, maybe building a few houses here and there, and remodeling in residential and commercial. And it's kind of evolved. And I think COVID had a big part in that. It really evolved to the point where we're probably doing 95% residential stuff now versus about 5% commercial. But during that time frame, during the COVID time frame, we kind of looked at it as a way to try to figure out how to capitalize on it. People being home at their house. People had extra money. People had, they weren't going on vacations during COVID. They wanted to do things to their house. And so we just said, maybe it's a good time to add a little division to our company that just handles roofing and gutters. And we did it during COVID, believe it or not. And it's been a really good success. I mean, we're not a massive roofer compared to some of the competition around here, but we wanted to get a slice of the pie and see what the roofing division could actually help out the residential remodeling business and let both of them, we could help each other. Cause there's a lot of times we'll come out and do someone's kitchen and then they'll say, hey, do you know anyone that does roofs? And we're like, yeah, we do roofs. And so it just kind of, the two arms of the business kind of feed each other through marketing and just in general of customer referrals. We also offer another part of our business is we're a commercial office condominium developer, which I had done for most of my career. I came up with a product that builds small offices for people, and so we now have a division that's doing that as well. And actually, I started out in Minnesota. I built a couple of projects out there when I was living out there, and I took that product to Connecticut, where I am. So,
what part of town did you build those in out here?
Oh, geez, you're gonna.
You remember?
I don't know. No, I don't remember. Yeah, Eden Prairie. I think Eden Prairie was one of the locations. Yep. Yeah, I did 2 complexes out there. So
yeah. Those small office spaces are, man, that's essential for the small business environment, right? Like it. As companies, even as you're growing, there's sometimes you just need that small space just to have that office and that commercial presence and things like that. So great thing there. So when you guys were, what led you to add roofing? Was it that your current customers started asking for it? You had crews that were able to do it. What was the thought there? What led you to adding roofing to the remodeling side?
Yeah, it was kind of a combination of we were getting requests from our current clients, or they were asking questions about who do you recommend for roofing, and it was part of that. And then we had met, we sub out some of our roofing, and we met a gentleman that has a really good roofing business, and we had a conversation with him, and we just said, well, maybe this is a smart move for us to partner with him. And we can now offer it to all of our clients from all aspects of all the businesses we have. And it kind of just evolved from that. Really, it just started where people were saying, hey, I need a roof. And we're like, well, why don't we do that? I have a guy that can do that. We don't have to touch it too much. It's, we have a gutter guy. So we're not putting a tremendous amount of our own labor from our business into it. And it's just a little bit of a management and product. And so we decided to bring on the way we started to do it was we actually brought on a salesperson. And I don't want to say just a salesperson, but he does actually more. He coordinates, he orders all the materials. And then my father is semi-retired, and we brought him in to, when we do a roof, he kind of stops in every day and checks kind of the project management piece of it. He loves it. It keeps him active. And that's kind of how it's evolved. We started really small. I think we did the first year, maybe 10 roofs. Now we're up to probably 30 to 40. This year we might push over 40. Not a lot, not comparative, but it's been a great success for us. It's a great moneymaker. It's a great revenue stream. And obviously the cross marketing between the roofing division and the actual, we call it TruNorth Roofing, and then TruNorth Construction. The cross marketing has been a huge success. We actually started out trying to separate them and see if we should do that. So we had, because all the Google searches, we were let's have roofing be a separate entity. And then we actually, after about a year, we decided to bring it back into underneath the main construction website and offer it that way. And it seems we haven't really missed anything on that part, because we were starting to get where we're having to manage two different pages and two different social medias. And so we just said, let's tie it all together. I think it'll be an easier process for us to manage. And it really hasn't changed our success rate at all.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking of. Like, there's some challenges when you're adding these additional services, and lots of complexities in terms of how you look at it from a business structure perspective. Hey, is this a separate division? Is this a separate company with, similar names? Like you said, TruNorth Roofing, TruNorth Construction. Like, how does that come to be? So what was your guys' thought process? So originally it sounds like, hey, we thought, let's go after the Google searches, because Google, when you type in roofing company near me, Google, if your Google business, if the name of your company has roofing in it, and your Google business profile category, the main category is roofing contractor, those are indications to Google to show you when that happens, right? Like, so was that the only reason, or were there any other reasons there of separating the two originally?
Yeah, originally that was kind of our focus. Everything I've learned from your podcast and having conversations with you is, I said, we probably need to separate this, because if someone's searching for roofing, they're not necessarily going to pick us up as a roofer. So we went that route, and we looked at the numbers, and it didn't make a big difference. They were finding us either way. And so we said, for simplicity reasons, let's combine them. And it really hasn't affected us. We're not going to ever compete with the big guys in our area, the people that are doing 5, 6, 7, 800 roofs a year. We're just never going to be able to compete marketing wise, but we can compete price wise, and we typically are less expensive. So when people do find us, whether it's through my website or Facebook or any of that, we tend to have a really good our price point is really good against the big boys, because we don't have a lot of overhead for that division. So it keeps it low.
Yeah. And in that, so this is for the audience, like the challenges in having those two brands. I always tell people the first one is, you got two Google business profiles. So now you got to get reviews in two different places, right?
Right.
That's, and it's it's hard enough getting reviews out of people, right? So now all of a sudden you're trying to build up your reviews on two different profiles. There is optimization of those two different profiles. All the nuances that go along with it. You may have two separate websites that now you need to be doing SEO on concurrently. There's a lot of things. Now, if you are looking to, in my opinion, if you're looking to make that a big service offering, right? Like go after the big boys in your area, that's probably the route to go. But if you want to just have it as an additional service, and do your 50, maybe even push 100 roofs a year. And, now we're talking about maybe you can do that within your, the current ecosystem that you already have.
And one of the things we did is we went back on our website, our main website, and we obviously added a ton of roofing information, content in there. So if they do search, we will come up. So we kind of tweaked our website to kind of evolve into a better search engine for the roofing division.
For sure. And the other thing to point out for you guys is you're not in like Dallas, Fort Worth, right? You're where there's 6,000 roofers and everybody's competing. Being in smaller submarkets or being in smaller markets, a lot of times there's less competition in that search for that search volume. So you can, it's easier to not separate them and work on both separately. So now when you guys added roofing, you're like, oh, was there a goal with it? Was it like, hey, our goal is to get to here from a profitability standpoint, or we want to add X amount of revenue, or, hey, we're just going to kind of pick things up as it goes along. How did you guys think about that from a business perspective?
Yeah, our goal the first year was we just let's get 10 roofs. And we ended up doing, I think, almost 20 the first year. So it was basically set up on, how many roofs we can possibly get. And it's grown every year. I think our division's been open almost 4 years now, and we're up to over 50. So we're still at that about 10 roofs a month. But ultimately, I would love to get up to 100. I mean, that would be our long-term goal. And I think we'll eventually get there because we're starting to get our name is becoming, in the marketplace more. But we were set up just based on trying pure numbers. Hey, let's do this many roofs and see how it works. And we analyze every time we do a roof. We analyze, all right, what did we make on that roof? Where can we tweak? Did we miss something? So we go back and look at every one of those reports and we make adjustments going forward. In our area, for some reason right now, roofing is come to a screeching halt, and that's across the board. I don't know if you're feeling that, but we are in Connecticut. Everyone is roofing is down about 25 to 30%. Not sure why. I think a lot of that, when I talk to the reps that we buy our shingles from, is ultimately everyone spent so much money in COVID. During that COVID period, they kind of stole from the future years.
From the future, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're projecting, from what I understand, maybe another 6 to 8 months, a little bit kind of lagging behind, but then it should come back to normal. So, it started out as let's just do 10, and here we are doing 50, and we watch the revenue, and it's a great revenue stream that you can do as a side for us that is just constantly revenues coming in because we're constantly doing roofs, and it just helps cash flow, it helps everything. But on the other side of it, it helps our marketing because now I have every sign. I have a yard sign in every roof that we're doing, the TruNorth, so we kept the colors the same. We kept the logo. We changed a little bit of the logo in general is the same, but everything is the same. So if they see a roofing, they'll see our vans, they'll see, so there's just cross marketing between the two divisions that has helped probably both sides of it.
Yeah. Another sign in the yard, right? Like there's a lot of value there, and someone to pay you to put that sign in the yard. It's a great thing.
Yeah. I mean, and just simple things like, we're going to stop by and check that job. I have, my father has a logo on the side of his truck. Right. My sales guy has we did a full SUV with just TruNorth roofing.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked in the past that I like to go over the top on some of my logos, and our cars, our vans and everything kind of look NASCAR-y, where there's a lot of, it's just different than everyone. It's just not a standard, TruNorth Construction on the side. We got a giant logo. So we did that very similar to the SUV for the roofing division. So he drives around in that. So those vehicles have actually, I think I underestimated the amount of leads we get from just people seeing our vehicles on a consistent basis. It's amazing. When we first started out, we didn't have vehicles. I think we're up to about 15 now. And I think the first comment, if I get 5 calls, one of the first or second comments is, I see your trucks in my neighborhood.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it instantly gives them credibility that someone else is hiring us. And then they'll drive down to the grocery store and they'll see another one of our vehicles. And I think the vehicle, when I originally set this business up, I had no idea what the vehicles would bring in terms of leads. Generating leads,
Yeah, it's amazing. It's one of those things that's hard to quantify, especially early on. Especially early in business, we're looking for this dollar amount spent to this dollar amount coming in, right? Like, hey, we spent this much, we invested this much in marketing. This is what we're getting back in a return on investment. That's why the lead aggregators are usually a big, especially early on, it's like, I could just go and, pay 100, 150, whatever it is for this lead. And I have an expectation on this side. If I just close 1 out of 10, I'm profitable, exactly. Right? Like it's not hard. If I put that 2,700 or 3,500 into wrapping that truck, man, I could have bought 35 leads. I could have done 3.5 more deals potentially at a 10% conversion rate. So let's go buy those leads and leave the truck unwrapped. But boy, it's different, right? Like
think about that thing is moving. Those vans are constantly moving. So they're never static. They're always in different spots and different people are seeing them and just constant. And I think to me, that's the one of the most underutilized marketing tools that a small business can do.
It's one of those really good early investments. Just from the start, it adds a level of professionalism to your company. Yeah. But also those I refer to them as brand impressions, right? Like, in TV advertising, radio advertising, it's the cost per thousand, right? Like there's this cost per thousand, like listeners, viewers that like in Google ads and Facebook ads, you can even do, kind of set it up that way that you are bidding on impressions. Like you want to, however, the amount of times people see the ad, not how many click on it, not how many do any other action on it, just show it to as many people as possible. And that's because the more people, the more you see it, the more you're like, oh, I see these guys everywhere, right? There's this level of trust that gets built. It's crazy. It's really,
and it's funny because early on in my entrepreneurship, starting businesses, I never would have thought that would have been such a huge thing for us. But the more I'm involved, like everyone in our company has their own vehicle that's logoed, and it makes a huge difference for us. Besides the yard signs and the social media and the other things you can do, this constant moving, your cars are moving, they're in different towns. And that's one of the first thing people say to me, hey, your car's in my neighborhood a bunch. Okay, come out and look at our deck. Or, what I mean? It's just, it's a great
If you think about it, it's the same as it's another version of the yard sign. It's another version of social media. Right. It's just people seeing you over and over and over again. I know you guys do a lot of community events and things like that. It's the same thing, right? It's like, they're just seeing you over and over and over and over. There's an immense value in that. Immense value. So,
and most of the time, people don't realize that.
For sure.
Someone that's a client, will see the van one week, and then they see the van next week, and they don't think of anything about it, and then they want a roof, and they're like, "Oh, I keep seeing those guys in my neighborhood. Let me call them."
Yep. Yeah. Or if they Google, they Google roofer near me or remodeling company near me, and all of a sudden you pop up and you're like, oh, I see those guys all over the place. There's this additional level of trust that's already built, right? And it's that old say, people buy from who they know, like, and trust, right? Like that's the get it, so it's easy there. What are the things, has there been any challenges? I know, you're subbing out most of the roofing work, so you're not, putting a heavy burden on your in-house crews and things like that, on your carpenters there. But has there been any challenges in the balance of the two, of adding this service offering?
No, it actually hasn't been taxing on us. We, when I say salesman early on, he's more of a functioning, almost like CEO of that division.
Yeah,
and I think that has really alleviated any of the extra burden on me and my business partner to run that, because he's essentially, we've set him up where he's essentially the sales. He manages everything. He kind of runs the ship, and we have weekly meetings with him to see where we are. And it's actually worked out even so well with him that I used to do all the sales for the entire company. And so what I've done is I've actually farmed so now he does all our decks. So he does decks. So it's evolved. It went from just roofs and gutters, to now decks, and he handles all the window replacement and siding. So he's really an exterior.
He's your
that's exterior, really now an exterior division. But it feeds itself. The roof will feed the siding, the windows, the decks. That stuff just kind of all feeds itself. That's right. It hasn't been a struggle at all. We had to set up some processes in the beginning. He's very organized, but it worked out very well. We don't have to put too much effort into it because he's managing all of it. So there wasn't a huge transition into this new division the way we set it up, and it just worked out that way. We didn't have any intentions of let's do it this way. We think let's just see how this evolves. We both, me and my business partner, were both kind of at the same thing. Like, I love this idea, but I don't know if I have more time to dedicate it to it. So we have to find someone that can kind of steer the ship. And that's what we got lucky. And we found a guy that with great experience in the sales part. He wasn't even a roofing specialist at all. He sold marketing to like magazines and stuff. So he was a friend of a family, and he came in. So we taught him the roofing business. And spent a bunch of time with him. We got him hooked up with, some of our suppliers that's shingles, and they came in, and he'll do the continuing ed. So he really self-taught himself the roofing business, and he's done that with the decking and stuff too. So it's that little division that we thought was just going to be roofing has evolved to more
into more.
So it's funny when you just put something in motion, how many things will get added to that idea, that thought that you said, oh, maybe this isn't a good idea. You just get something started, and before you know it, it's turned into a nice revenue stream for us.
If you just follow the opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
What have you found? I mean, so I like to say, people, there's very few people who want to buy a roof, right? But on the other side of your business, there's a lot of people that want to remodel their kitchen, right? Like,
exactly.
It's a different buyer. It's a different message. How have you managed that in your marketing, of that, and how have you thought about that?
So I think we originally, our goal was to come into this. The roofing part of it is strictly just, hey, let's start out and make sure we beat them in price, because that's going to be our way in. As I got to beat people in price to build up our name. So we started just really coming in lower than anyone would else, any of our competition was. That was our goal, just to get our foot in the door, to start the process, to get our name going out there. And it's slowly evolved. We're always going to be a little less expensive than the big guys, but we've slowly raised our prices up, and that's kind of taken care of itself. We still push the same message. Our message, my business why, is relationships.
Yep.
And I think we have talked about this before, is our slogan is we build quality homes, but the most important thing we build is relationships. And that's still the same motto that we do with roofing. So we have a little bit of advantage against someone that is strictly a roofer, is that we can come in and give the customer, almost a point of comfort that if something on this, if we have to pull the roof apart, if something else happens in the process, if there's something we uncover, we have the ability to handle that. If there's rotted rafters or, there's something going on, we have the ability to handle that in-house. So we've added a level of comfort with instead of just being a roofer, because we have the remodeling piece that backs it up, and that's a huge thing for us, a huge marketing tool, that we're not just a roofer, we're a remodeler, so we can offer more services if something comes up. And I think that gives people a little bit more hope that you're not just coming in, flying and hitting a roof and leaving. We have more to offer them. So we've used that as a tool when we do our marketing. Say, hey, we're not just a roofer, we're also do remodeling, so we can help you in other areas. So it's been a helpful tool that kind of evolved without us even thinking about it, you know.
And that is, that you should have a unique selling proposition is kind of what I heard from you there. You guys have developed this unique selling proposition of, hey, we're a full service company, so we have this, we can sell to that. Like, other companies don't have this. We have this. And the other company may say, well, they're, can come in and sell against you from a unique position of, hey, we only do this. We're the very experts in this versus, they do too many things. And so like everyone's going to have their unique selling proposition, right? Their unique way of framing their strengths. And so you just have to understand self-awareness, right? Like, this is ours. These are our strengths. We know that if something else happens, man, you had a leak and now your drywall is, you need some drywall work. All right, cool. We'll have the drywall guys come out, boom, boom, boom. It's, you have, there's that ability where, so you can balance that, but through self-awareness is where you come up with those unique selling propositions.
Yeah. I mean, because ultimately, we all have to sell, like you said, sell what we're really good at, and you have to kind of come up with a niche that, all right, this is what we are, this is why we do this is our business, and you have to be different. Like, just for instance, the remodeling side of the business. We do something a little different than most remodeling companies. We take all of our clients to all of their, like if we're doing a kitchen, we take all our clients to every one of their appointments. We set up all their appointments. We go to the cabinet company. We go to the, pick out the granite, the plumbing, the electrical. We are with you through that whole process, versus most people up here in our area will just send them to those locations. So we wanted to diversify ourselves from everyone else by offering something a little different, whatever that is. And that has been a huge, because people get overwhelmed with the idea of construction and all the different things they have to pick out. So when we set this up, I wanted to be able to be a little more, offer a different service. I'm not saying it's a better service, but offer a different service and differentiate ourselves, from other contractors. And I think that's the way we do it. It's hands down been one of the best decisions we've made, because people love the idea of having someone set the appointments up and go with them and give them advice. And it used to be me. It started out, that's what all I did, is I would do that part of it. And the company's evolved where I brought, I have a designer on staff. That's all she does, is she takes them to all the appointments and helps them pick stuff out. But that sets us apart from everyone else. So that was, I'm always looking at ways to set myself apart in some way, whether it's different, how we wrap our vehicles, how we offer our service, our message. I think, for instance, today I was just on a call this morning for a massive remodeling project. The gentleman was a podcaster. He specialized in client. They're making sure the clients, their company's clients are happy. And so we started talking. He showed me a book he just wrote. And so I told him, hey, we do book club. And he's like, what? A construction company? You guys have book club? And I was like, yeah, and actually, this is the book I'm reading right now. And he knew the book, because that's kind of his space. And just something like having that ability to have that conversation. I don't know if I'm going to get the job, but I certainly feel I connected with him just because of the fact that something simpler like that. We are a little different. I do a book club. how many construction companies are sitting in a conference room twice a week going over different books? I don't know, but
Yeah.
it was another way for me to differentiate myself from the last contractor that came in and connect with this guy. And it's just because we do something different. And I try to utilize those differences to my advantage.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Have you guys gone through the exercise of creating your core values and all of that? And so now,
yeah, we did that.
Yeah. So when now that you have your core values and things, that's what I think of in terms of like these like doing something like that with a book club or something. It's like, well, we have maybe a core value that around learning, right? Like around getting better or improving ourselves or something like that. And those are those things that fall into your core values and then create a company culture, which then it like exudes itself to the outside world in these in these sales conversations, right? Like it was like, where did that come from? Well, it's because our core value reflects this. And so we do this, and then we connect with people on a different level because of that, right? It's pretty cool how the dots connect.
Yeah, because ultimately when I first started it, you got pushback, like just like anything, right? Oh my gosh, seriously, we're going to be drinking tea or whatever it was. And so, I got a lot of pushback, but I specifically chose a book that I thought all these guys would connect to. It was a book by Jocko. It was a great book because it would talk about his experience in war, and then he would take it and try to apply it to a business. And so it got people really involved. I got lucky with the book selection, but it was it was after week one, they were like, oh, this book club is amazing. Like, I love this. I mean, you got guys sitting in a room having conversations about different parts of these books. And then what I've noticed, and I've heard from other customers, is that our guys will be out on a job and the conversations will be about the book. And so, you'll hear, we remodeled a close friend of mine's kitchen and she was like, your guys are just talking about the book club all the time. And so it creates a, common language. Yeah. It creates something that everyone can kind of talk about and kind of, hey, this is what I thought about this. This is what I think about this. And it creates dialogue and it creates, teamwork. You're part of something. We did the first book, the second book we did, we had one of the guys wanted to make a suggestion and we read the book he suggested. So, there's all kinds of different ways to get people involved. And actually it's fun now because people really enjoy it. We have our company meeting on Thursday mornings and then we spend about 20 minutes on the book. And it just sparks different types of conversation. And look, if anyone can improve a little or it can improve you personally or you can improve business wise, it's a win for me. I'll hear, like we take our guys on a hike every year, and during the hike, I'm listening to guys and they're talking, and I've had a couple of them come up to me and said everyone just loves the book club, and it just starts conversation and creating teamwork. And I think it's something that has led me to like today being able to say that to a customer, and they're they sit back and construction company has book club, so it's another sales tool.
When you started the book club, was it, hey, we're going to read kind of more business focused books? We're going to go read, fiction books for fun and talk about it. Where did you go with that?
It started out with, mostly business, but then it has moved into some personal stuff too.
So there's kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm currently reading one about a restaurant in New York City that was rated like number one in the world, and some of their customer service, how they handled their customer service and why they became number one in the world. And what we're doing now is, it's helped us because part of this company is, this book was just a learning about different ways to make customers happy. Because we always give a customer at the end of a project, we give them a gift, a thank you gift. It's a little bit more generic. But what I've started to do is start to tailor some of those gifts. So what I've asked my guys, because we learned this in this book, is pay attention when you're on the job site. Listen to conversations everyone's having, the husband, the wife, the kids, any of that. Listen to some of what they like to talk about, some of their hobbies, and let's get them a gift that ties into some of the things that they actually
more custom to the actual.
Yeah, so I'm using my guys as a way to listen to come back and give me ideas. We just finished a big kitchen project, and the two homeowners love to garden and love to have house plants. So we bought them a gift certificate to this incredible place that's near us that you can go and buy, house plants and stuff. And they were blown away. They loved it. Like, wow, you paid attention to how we live and what we like. So, you use these little things to just try to make your company a little bit better and a little different.
And that there's so much information, right? But there's something about the execution of the information that's even more important. So when you read the book and you're like, okay, look, and talk about, wow, all the different ways that this restaurant, serves their customers on a high level and creates that customer loyalty from that. And, okay, so now let's brainstorm 2-3 things that we can execute on and put them in play today. Right. Like, the execution of the information is super important. What do you think what is the book that you felt has like that the team was talking about the most?
It's funny. We've done this. We're on our 4th book now. We did Highly Effective People, which I think is a tough read.
Yeah.
But I think that was the foundation. That was one of the first ones we did. I would say it's between that and the Jocko book, where they guys like guns and war and all, those kind of stories. So I would, if you surveyed all my guys, I would probably say it was that one, because it had this tie-in to the businesses. But I think every one of them that we've read, we're reading a book now called Tools of Titans. It's actually a podcaster, Tim Ferriss, who just created a book based on all the little podcasts that he did. Yeah. And so there's probably 200 or 300 people. And what we're doing is we're just going around, and every week someone selects 2 new people to read. So you'll learn about business and personal stuff and health stuff and fitness in these little, and they're not long segments. They're 4, 5, 6 pages.
Yep.
So that one, I think everyone's liked this book the most, probably because of the fact that the read is quick. Yes. You know what I mean? It's not like overtaxing, like the Highly Effective People book.
Yeah, 7 Habits. It's pretty deep. Yeah, that one's that one gets.
It's a deep book, and you got to really read, a lot at once. And so I think these little books that have little spurts where people can kind of mix them into their personal life, because I don't want someone feeling overwhelmed that they got to read this book, and this weekend I got to read the whole book. So we break it down by chapters and make it really easy.
I highly recommend your next book be The Best Known Roofer.
All right. Did you write that? I'm going to write it down.
Just a personal, thought on that. No.
All right. I got it marked down. It'll be my next one.
Well, cool, man. So now, in the sales process, you hired a salesperson to be specifically in charge of this division. Let's talk a little bit about how you found them. Were you active? Did you go throw an ad up on Indeed or in the community? How did you come across this person?
No, we just put the word of mouth out, essentially, through just everyone at the business and parents and actually the gentleman that ended up coming. His name is Tim. He was a family friend of my business partner, cool. And his father grew up with him. And he had just during COVID, his job went away, and Matt, my business partner, must have been talking to his dad. This is what we're trying to do. And his father said, "Oh, I have a friend that this might be a good mix." He came in and met. That's one of the things we've been really fortunate with, is that I don't know if it's probably based on the fact that our culture and what we've built. Yeah. And I think there's a presence of that on my social media. You can see we do a lot of videos. We have our guys involved. We're currently doing almost like a podcast series where we have 2 or 3 guys together in a room. We ask them just random questions, and we're creating these videos and using those as a tool on social media. for two reasons. I wanted to get our guys involved because I think having everyone involved is a great thing because you're going to get different perspectives on things. But it also gives our client a preview of who's going to be in their house and what personalities everyone has. And so, that has kind of the whole social media thing has evolved where it was just me and my business partner.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to get other elements in to get other people involved, get different points of view on it, and just try to be more creative. So
that's awesome. I think you guys, that was a good decision, saying, hey, I'm not going to try and do this and add that time necessary to my schedule to go out and sell roofing jobs now. Let's find someone to go and run that. If you were looking at the success that this person has achieved with your company and kind of, what traits would you look for if you had to hire again?
Yeah, I would. It's funny because I wouldn't, and I do this throughout my hiring process. If people come to us, I would rather hire someone that's a good person and organized than someone with a lot of experience that's not. So Tim came to us with no roofing experience, but he was incredibly organized. I'm that type of person, very organized. For someone that has to run a separate division, they have to be able to have incredible organization to keep up with the flow of change orders and contracts and materials. So number one, organization, to see how organized they are. That to me is that, and you have to be a good person. Like you could just tell someone has a good character to them. Those are my two things that I look at right away is character and if you're organized.
How do you assess if someone is organized?
It's the strangest thing. I got taught this from someone that I interviewed with. He asked me what is in my car. He asked, oddly, it was the strangest question, but if your car is a mess, you got stuff everywhere in your car, you're probably not organized. But if your car is super organized, he asked me about my car. What's in it? Do I got gym bag from 2 weeks ago? Do I have, food wrappers?
Yeah.
That question alone, you can kind of feel how people are. Oh, my car is spotless. My car is clean. Ultimately, that's probably someone that's very organized or very on point. So that's one of the questions I ask. It's an odd question, but I use that now. People are, what is that question? But you can find out about a person by how their car is, right? So that's one of my questions. I don't know if that breaks all the HR rules. It might. I don't know. But I do ask them that simple, stupid question that I learned probably 30 years ago that I got asked, and it seems to be right on point.
I heard another one like that when you're hiring people in an operational role that are going to be in charge of process. The question that you ask is, how do you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Right. And if they really define, if the way that they define it is in great detail, man, that's someone who you want in charge of building SOPs for your company.
If you get someone that just says, I'm going to put two pieces of bread together with some peanut butter,
you get some bread and peanut butter and jelly, and you make. But if it's
want someone that says, I'm going to go to the bread box, I'm going to take out two pieces of bread.
That's right.
I'm going to put them on a plate. I'm going to get the more detail they give, that's a great one.
If I'm making it for my kids, I might grab the white bread, but for myself, I may grab the multi, if you get you could get really in detail, right? Into how you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I thought that was an interesting way to put it. Who asked that, right? It's such an awkward question, but it really speaks to the point of who that person is, and you get a real vibe of it. So now, on the production side, you said this person is kind of they're essentially managing the jobs also, right? They're doing some ordering, they're doing all of that type of stuff for the jobs.
Well, he orders the materials, gets the materials delivered. My father, who's part-time, will go to the job.
He's more of the job site super kind of role.
Yep. And that's he'll go in the morning and he'll go in the afternoon. And our contractor knows to call my father if he needs any materials. And then my father will run out and get them. But yeah, we wanted to alleviate a little pressure off of the sales and the coordinator. So that my dad acts as, like you said, a daily superintendent for each project. It gives Tim, the salesperson, a little bit more relief that he doesn't have to be on the job, all the time. So we tried to help him out a little bit.
Have you thought of what level of, the number of roofs you're building per week or per month or per year that you're going to get to where you're like, this is when we're going to segment that and add additional people to his team?
Yeah, we're working through that right now.
Got it.
We have. We're going to add another salesman to the roofing division in January, and we just started kind of the process of he's with us now. He's a carpenter. So he wanted to, he came to us and said, is there any other areas that I could transition into? And he's one of these guys that, is such a good presence with people, can talk to anyone, has a good vibe about him, and we thought it would be a great fit. So he's been actually starting to shadow Tim, going out on deck, roofing appointments whenever we can pull him off a job to do that. He recently injured his hand a little bit, and so we pulled him out of the field for 2 weeks. He sat in the office. He sat with my estimator, started estimating his own decks, started estimating his own roofs. So we're gearing him up to like a January start where I'm going to have 2 people selling exterior products. And then Tim is a little older, so eventually Tim will retire and Dave will take over. But one of the things we've kind of evolved, this new gentleman's name is Dave, is one of the things we've evolved his responsibilities are, because I'm trying to take pressure off of my estimator, is that he's going to do his own estimating for the decks. Tim currently does it for the roofs. I'm adding the decks, windows, and siding to Dave's responsibilities, so it takes a little pressure off my estimator. He can focus on other things. So Dave's role is going to evolve. And one of the things is, Dave's a carpenter. Selling a deck, it's going to be easy for him. He builds them.
That's right.
That type of stuff. He just looks the part too. I think he's going to do really well. And the 2 weeks I've had him in here, and I can tell by his truck how organized he is. I think he's going to do great at it. So the roofing division's evolving a little as we speak.
Yeah.
So back in January, we'll have two guys selling roofs, decks, and exterior siding. So it's exciting to see that little division that we just did during COVID starting to grow into something really profitable and really, really useful tool for us.
Yeah. I had Rosalind Vergas from who's a HR consultant in the industry. We were on recently, and we were talking about career mapping, and that's what made me think of it for the carpenter. The guy that was a carpenter on your team is like, and it's really important to understand the path that you're creating for people and the potential opportunity that you're creating for people, especially for good people, right? You want to have them be able to grow with you and grow into something that they are, that's worthwhile for them, right? That fits into their goals financially or, otherwise, right? Like, so, now are you guys starting to consciously think about that, or are you just waiting like, hey, he said this and we had this opportunity available? How's that working out for you?
Well, we kind of knew this available, this spot where Tim was going to eventually retire. We knew that was coming. So when he came to us, it was just a perfect timing situation to say, hey, this might be a good spot. But we're always trying to do that with our guys. Like we're currently right now, we're taking one of our carpenters and we're going to turn him into what we're going to call as our closer. He is going to be at the end of the job handling the punch out and finishing up the job. So we're calling him. So we're always trying. He's going to have more of a management role. So we're trying to always have a path for people to bring in younger people, and then have a path for our current carpenters that are getting a little older that they can go do something different, something to look forward to. One of our carpenters, we're going to actually move him into a project manager position, and he's going to be a on-site superintendent and a project manager. But we're always trying to evolve and giving guys the opportunity to get a little bit of different future and do something different. Cause you do something for 30 years, you might want to change it up.
That's right.
Not secretly, I don't plan on being in the business for more than probably 10 to 12 years. I'm going to be retiring. So I am trying to set the business up in a way that my business partner, when I decide to retire, that my responsibilities, I will already have people in place.
Yeah.
I brought the designer in to handle part of that. My goal with Dave, that we're going to move into the roofing division within 5 to 6 years, he will probably take over all the sales. He will do all of my stuff. So I'm trying to put in place avenues for people to to grow, to get better. But then I'm on the backside, I'm trying to figure a way that when I leave, the business will stay strong and really, because my business partner's 10 years younger.
Yeah.
So he still has a huge future. So I'm trying to set him up that my job, all my responsibilities
to have the support around him. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And I always joke with him that I have to hire 7 or 8 people to do my job. So he understands how important I am to the business.
I think that's how we all feel as business owners a lot of times, right? Yeah. It's like, man, how do I replace myself? Well, I'm going to need about 12 people now. I hear I've talked to a lot of contractors that move from remodeling into roofing, for various reasons, mainly because it's more of a single trade, one crew versus managing the plumber, the electrician, the drywall, the flooring guys, lots of trades, open up a wall and you got this whole mess going on that you didn't know was going to be there. That I see a lot of companies going that way. But just a thought for you: would you have any advice to a roofing contractor that wanted to add remodeling as a service?
Yeah, you definitely have to. I mean, I think if you're just doing roofing, you should maybe just start slow. Add gutters, add siding, add anything. Start with the exterior. Maybe you start building decks. And then once you get that process lined up and you're comfortable with all those things, you can certainly start focusing inside. And look, it's all about getting contacts and networking and meeting people. If you find a plumber that you think's comfortable or a tile guy, you slowly have to build up your team to be able to get inside, because the inside is different than the outside. There's a lot more people involved, like you said. But I would start with something small, roof, add decking, add a deck, add doing windows, siding. And then now you have the whole exterior, and you don't have to do everything. You can have the roofing crew, you could have a siding crew that you sub out to, you could have someone that builds your decks, but now you're offering the whole envelope outside. And I think that would be a great starting point, is start slow, keep adding services. And then if you wanted to venture inside, you just got to get the network and get the team built up so you're ready to go when you decide to do a kitchen. You got to have the cabinet company, the countertops, and the plumber, and the electric and the flooring, and so there's a lot more involved inside because there's so many hands that are in each project.
Yeah,
but I would definitely say start small, add a service here and there, and then start building it from there.
Awesome, Jeff. Always a pleasure. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. If you would like to generate more revenue through your digital marketing efforts, please visit roofermarketers.com to get a copy of the book, The Best Known Roofer. Also, check the training section of the website for guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads to how to properly set up your Google My Business listing. Thanks for listening.